Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Welcome to Footwork.
All right. Welcome back to Footwork. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Sean. And each week we're bringing stories and tips from around the globe as we dive into our journey abroad.
Outlining what it takes to follow our dream and hopefully yours, even if it's not soccer. So, Sean, V Gates, K-Tao, what's up, bro?
It's all good. Just wondering about your connotation of how you're reading that. But
Sean made me redo the intro because I wasn't peppy enough. Fair enough.
Made him chug an espresso before he read it again.
No, I need a few more drinks of coffee.
Yeah, you do got a cool coffee mug. Big things coming soon for everyone out there.
That wasn't a hint.
Big things. Big things. And we're serious. They're coming together. I would be comfortable saying in the next few weeks, they will definitely be out by November.
I told someone November 1st for something, and I didn't clarify because everything's top secret. Zero dark 30,
ultra top
Sean
secret.
And I said.
Ultra top secret.
Anytime, so in Germany, just quickly, like, you can't really put stuff on the side of the road. You know, like, I don't know how it is in Long Island, but in
the black.
Yeah, in my town, you could kind of just like put a couch on the side of the road and either someone will take it or they'll pick it up, you know, like the town. You can't do that here. So you either have to put it on eBay Kleinanzeigen, which is like a Craigslist, and, you know, do that, or you have to bring it to the dump yourself, which, I mean, if it's big, you know, your car might not fit it or you might not have a car. I don't have a car. So Sean, we always make jokes that we're going to zero dark 30 some things and just go out 3 a.m. pitch black, dark at night and just stash an old couch. That old couch bed that you had me sleeping on with the nail in it.
Yeah, but to be fair, I did bring that to the dump.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so he's a good citizen, everyone.
We did think about doing that.
Model German citizen.
But we were also in like a very upscale neighborhood at the time. Some dirty orange couch would really,
it's hilarious.
Been a sore thumb.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so there you go. It is top secret, but it's going to be revealed. I would say November 1st is a comfortable.
I'm excited, man. I'm trying not to hype it up.
Yeah.
Because we've said things before in the past, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, but this is more legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
The process has already begun.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are we talking about today?
Well, first off, Dylan versus Sean versus Dylan part 2 is this weekend.
Yeah.
So that's this weekend. Phoenix Lübeck against Eintracht Norderstedt.
Yeah.
We're playing at Sean's. Yeah, at Lübeck. So Saturday, 2 o'clock game. Stage is set. Big game. We're very close.
2 o'clock
on
or
points.
1 o'clock?
I can't remember. I'll check after
either
this.
Way. Yeah,
and
we'll give you an update.
I don't think there's any stream though, right?
No, unfortunately not. It's at 1 o'clock.
Slacking.
But there is
you
no
guys be
stream.
slacking on this.
Oh, they be slacking is right.
It's all good though. So, but sometimes there's some highlights from your games.
Yeah, there could be highlights. I mean,
if we get highlights,
I'll have the game video afterwards.
We'll put up the live ticker too.
Dylan is on fire. Scored 2 goals this weekend.
Yeah, 2 goals
against my former club, and a club that said no to him on trial after he was there for a long time,
about a month.
So that I'm sure that felt great. And that, I mean, how many goals do you have this season now?
Now I have 4 goals. So yeah, I've picked it up in the last few games too. So just trying to extend that. The unfortunate part is that every time that I've scored this season, we've either drawn or lost. So we got to turn that around. And I've only scored away, which is very interesting. I've had assists at home, but I've only scored away. Yeah, at Flensburg, at Holstein Kiel.
Right.
And at Haida.
Right.
So I think good goals though, which is important for me. You know, like they're not. I had some scrappy goals last year or goal.
Oh, we should have pulled up. Should pull up your goal. Keep talking.
Okay. So yeah, it's just I think it's important for me to be getting in those positions and Yeah, a couple good finishes. I'm proud of them, and just hopefully we can get some more wins. And yeah, I mean,
so here it is. What a golazo! I think one of your best goals professionally.
Pick it out, keeper.
Snipe.
One more time. One more time. No, that's good enough. That was good. I mean,
yes, nice clean hit.
2 goals in the first half. So could have had a third too. That's, I mean,
almost the exact situation.
Yeah, but it kind of felt to me in the air. Oh, there was 2 actually. Yeah.
Second half, top of the box. I know that's what you were thinking.
Either way.
But yeah.
Either way, hopefully I score against Sean's team.
Yeah, hopefully not. But if your team did score, it'd be okay if you scored.
Fair enough. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so there you go. Saturday, 1:00, the second Footwork Derby. Excited for it. But that leads us right into kind of what we want to talk about today, which was inspired by a few conversations we've had recently with people that are doing the same thing we are or looking to make the jump. And I think it was prevalent that we were totally honest with them on how everything is, to know what they're walking into. And we did cover this on the dirty side, which was one of the first episodes we put out as a podcast. I mean, I feel like it was 3 or 4 or 5
ages ago. Yeah, 3 or 4.
One of the earliest episodes. So
it's kind of a funny one.
I would imagine any new listeners maybe haven't heard that yet. So I wanted to kind of do an updated version of that.
It's an honest ass episode.
Yeah, it's just really an honest ass episode. Exactly. And at the moment, so I started every preseason game, played every minute of every game. Played the first 5 games of the season, and then just kind of fell out of favor with the coach. They signed 2 new center backs actually, and now I'm fighting for a starting position. So will I play against Dylan this weekend? I don't know. Every day in training, I'm proving it and showing them that I deserve to play and should play, and the team needs it. But the reality is that, you're not always going to be in favor, and you might find yourself on the bench. I like to think of it, because this is really the first team I came here was a similar situation, but it's a little different in that case. But this time, it's the first time where I feel like I should be playing, but I'm not. But if you think of the biggest teams in the world, so Chelsea is my favorite team. Andreas Christensen, baller. But Lampard was the coach there. He was
not a sniff.
Out of favor in terms of like, this guy needs to leave the club. Out of favor.
Yep.
Then Tuchel comes in, and now, sure, Azpilicueta and Rudiger are also first names on the team sheet, but so is he.
But that brings it just another point
so quickly.
Yeah, another point with that is Rudiger and Azpilicueta were both really not, especially Rudiger.
Rudiger was out.
Rudiger is looked at as a top 5 center back. Like,
right.
We need a little bit more performance and time and stuff to put him in that category, but a lot of people are putting him in the top 5 in the world. He's been looked at by Real Madrid and stuff like this. Like, this is the thing, is just these things happen. And, talking to Sean, I think he's got a super positive mindset about it. It's just like, all right, here we go again. I just got to handle mine and, do what I can, show myself, and everything else is, not in his hands. So he's just got to control what he can control.
Exactly. And the most important thing is to be ready for the opportunity when it comes, because to start making excuses and stuff is not going to help your situation in the first place. But as soon as you start doing that, and then you're given a shot and you're not ready and you perform poorly, then everything everyone was saying or the coaches were thinking is now correct. And throughout this episode, this is an important thing to have, is that, like, it's always about the process, and you just keep getting better as a player. yes, it's very important to play in games, but you can also get better in training every day. And to just continue to focus on that, even if you're not playing on the weekend, you don't even get in the 18-man roster and so on and so forth. It's important to have the right mindset, or else this will just eat away at you. Yeah. And the things that we're going to talk about in this episode that we've experienced thus far are these things that would force a player to stop. And I know players that did stop. Going back all the way to Mongolia, you know, two of the players that came with me there, they left after 3 weeks, and only because of the mindset. We were in the exact same situation, the exact same money, the exact same contract, same apartment. Everything was the same team. And they left and were complaining from the get-go because of the mindset. And I don't know why they went in that way, but for whatever reason they did. And they left in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Two things. One, just going back to your point about being ready. I mean, we can just touch on it quickly that you had a city derby, Lübeck against VfB, who was in the third league last year, 6,000 fans, and you have to come in on the 73rd minute, something like this.
Yeah.
And screaming. I mean, we posted about it, so you guys could see this energy. 6,000 fans in Germany, throwing cups, waving flags. I mean, it's the shit like that we dream about and
stuff we dream
for.
about.
It's like this is what it was. And Sean had to come off because of injury and be ready in a game where
come on because of injury.
Yeah, exactly. Come on because of injury, and he has to be ready. And away fans behind, or home fans behind him. Sean was the away team. Home fans behind him. And I think you mentioned this the other day, is about like Anfield, how they suck the goal in.
Right.
And it was feeling like that, maybe a little bit. It kind of looked like that. They had a bit of more of the attack in the last bit, and you guys were, really trying to get that point or play on the counter and stay compact, stay, sharp. Just they were there, and so if Sean wasn't ready, if he didn't have that mental mindset that I'm needed whenever I come on, like, it could have had a poor performance, could have cost the team, could have, done a list of things.
Exactly.
He didn't. He came on, was strong. I couldn't hear him because it was loud as hell from the stream, but I'm sure he was yelling, and I'm sure he was. I mean, you guys just held him off and you did your job. So that's right there in truth.
I mean, exactly. Perfect example of that is, the biggest crowd I've ever played in front of, and you're thrown in with 20 minutes to go when they have a phase where they're kind of all over us. Yeah. They're peppering the net up into that point. Yeah. And they say, okay, center back start, get on there. And you can either crumble and lose the first city derby in the same league in 33 years, or perform up to the level. And right away, you need to get right into the speed of the game. And, I think I did that. So there's one example, and then, will that lead to an opportunity this weekend against you? Maybe, maybe not. And regardless of what happens in training, I'll continue to show that I should be on the field.
Yeah, I hope so. And I mean, one thing that our guy Joe Funicello would always say is that, like, you have to do these things for the right reasons. And I couldn't agree more. And I think that comes into it why guys that you've had the same opportunity for, same contract, same living things, come out of a situation like that, and it really truly damages them. Because a lot of people do it more because there's this title around professional football or professional soccer player that's super fun. And it's just nice to say, and it's nice for people to know that. I mean, we live in that kind of age where, we show off, and we, whether you're proud or just whatever the internal reason is just, we live in that kind of day and age in social media. And I was super guilty of it too. I mean, I remember that Australia contract. I had a little contract. It wasn't like, it was maybe 1-2 pages.
Which was your first one?
It was my first contract. Yeah. And technically it wasn't even professional. Like guys were making in that league, guys were making professional money, but it was a huge range. So some guys could live off it and had apartments, but I was just telling myself, I guess, that it was professional because of all of these things. And this is how it was marketed to me. So I was a bit naive, and, you know, first contract, you're like professional. You're like, oh yeah. And I had like, you know, my brother or something take a picture of me at the dining room table, signing a contract. It's like all this shit, you know, it's like there was a whole thing around it. And I don't blame myself for that, but I'm also kind of happy that I've gone through that and can laugh at it. And then now don't have those things anymore as much. I mean, even still, when I was in Sweden, I was posting things that made it look like everything was, you know, sunshine and rainbows. And meanwhile, I'm here in a small house clamped together with 10 Americans, can't get barbecue sauce and ketchup at the same time, you know, like not on a professional contract, you know, like they gave us food and housing and whatever. And we were just trying to get video and stats and make our way up in Europe. Like this is the reality of it when you don't have a name. When you have a name, you can go anywhere you want. Like, if you've played leagues in the 3rd Bundesliga here, oh my God, send your name around and they'll pick you up like that. This is just what it was. But you're coming from America to Australia to Sweden to Germany. At each time, I've had to put my name out there. So the whole idea of it is I haven't earned anything yet. Like, I have to build myself here because I have nothing. I have no name in this yet. I had no video. I had college video, and people were telling me, yeah, it's nice, but it, you know, looks slow. And I mean, Sean and I have talked about it. The reality of it is the college game was much slower than things we played since then. Especially now, it's just much different. And yeah, it's just not always glorious. And this is why this is not necessarily the dirty side, but more just the reality of it when you're grinding to make a name. So guys who are coming out of college, guys, you know, not even, you didn't even have to go to college, but guys trying to, you know, go to Europe or go somewhere and play and make a name for themselves. You have to understand that there's so much that is not professional, but for you to build as a player, for you to build highlights, to build a CV and to build a name and to just really get better. You have to live in these situations that where you have contracts, you have teams or coaches, and, you know, everything's not so great. It's not so glorious.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and back to your Australia contract. So I remember Pell and I, so Vinny Pellegrino, the 3 of us were kind of trying to make this jump. And when you got the contract, you were the first one. And we were hyped for you, like, man, he made it. Like, it's sick, you know? And then it turns out like you're stacking bricks week 2. You have to work at a cafe. And, you know, who would have thought that the contract I had in Mongolia was technically professional? Didn't have to work another job, but all the things that I had to go through there or that I went through, I didn't have to go through. It was just is what it is. You know, there's no schedule for training. They would call you at random times of the day and say, hey, get in the car. We have training.
Jump in the car. Like, I just can't imagine
stuffed in a Prius trying to get there. You know, 2 weeks. If you heard the previous podcast, 2 weeks in this middle of the summer, we had no hot water. So you had to shower with cold water, or like myself, I heated up water in a bucket.
Unreal.
You know, and these are just things like you just had to, it was just part of it. I mean, you go on and on about these things, but it's like
just the word Mongolia gets me. Like, I can't believe that you played in Mongolia.
Yeah.
Like, that's unreal.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And I'm so happy I went there because of the experience, what I learned about myself. Grew as a player a little bit, sure, because it comes down to where there's much more pressure than college, where you have to perform on game day. Because
would you say that's the biggest thing that you learned and took as a player? I wanted to ask you that actually today.
I mean, so definitely
Mongolia, how did it improve you player wise? Mentally, I can totally understand from
mentally,
where you're living to being in Mongolia. But as player, do you think that it how did it improve you? Or did it not?
Yeah, no, it did. It's just in different ways. Like, I wouldn't say like, oh, I improved my technical ability. I don't think that changed much at all.
I mean, mentally as a player,
mean,
that's a thing too, though. Like I meant just
positionally,
on the
as a
field,
center back,
positionally. Okay, yeah.
played center back every game. I mean, I did play forward towards the end, but played center back.
like Gerard Piqué in the 80th
Yeah,
minute when they're down a goal, he comes out for Barcelona.
So just playing whatever it was, 20 games at center back, 90 minutes every game, just it helps. The more games you have, the better it is positionally. Organizing players or trying to literally teach players tactics that don't speak the language. I mean, that's a whole new thing. Sometimes at halftime, I'm the one on the whiteboard trying to explain things with someone translating. I mean, obviously didn't think that would happen, but like the coach steps aside and I'm the guy, and I was on pens also.
And this is a thing though, is Mongolia First League. It's a professional league.
Yeah,
it's a full-time professional league. It's like registered on Transfer Market. I mean, there's some things with like refereeing, right? Like if you played in a first tier of a league, and I think that counts of it. And it's just, this is another thing that guys have to understand is like Coach Sean was up at the whiteboard.
Yeah, and this is a professional league competing for essentially the UEFA Europa League qualification spot.
Yeah, if you come in first, then you can play some.
Exactly, you're in a playoff spot for their Europa League in Asia, which is the AFC Cup. It's called.
And I believe if you win that, then that's like you can get into the FIFA Club World Cup, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's so it's.
I mean, they've never gone that far, but they one team every year does compete in the playoff. So, yeah, whatever you want to call it. But there is no, there's no locker rooms. Everyone shares the stadium for the most part. Training pitches are absolutely terrible. You train or you change at the pitch, or you just wear your clothes to training. It's like you're, 13 years old again in your mom's van. You just have your clothes on already. Get to training and you go home all sweaty.
Ready.
There you just get a slab of meat.
You just get a slab of meat halftime. There's no orange. Oh man, tough.
Yeah. So I mean,
but
there's so many.
There's a list of these things. I mean, in Australia, I had a few cool perks. So I will say that, like, sometimes I recommend Australia to people because it's like the experience of it is very cool, and sometimes you do get some things, and then you can work there, very easily. It's very like your first year visa is super easy. So I try and tell people like that's always an option. It doesn't really have so much footing to get into Europe if that's your goal. But if you want to go to Australia and try and stay around in that area in Australia, you can work your way up, get into some of the better cities and stuff. And yeah, there's tons of full-time, actually professional, like Sydney, the second tier in Sydney, the second tier in Melbourne, pretty much full-time professional from what I've heard and from players that I know. So there's some cool things that I got too. Like I got a car, even though this thing was super loud and we called it the lawnmower. It still got a car. So I got to travel around, the entire state of Tasmania, which is unreal and just beautiful.
Right.
Like probably not the same things, but just similar in how you explain, the wilderness and stuff in Mongolia. Like it, it was just a perk of those things. And yeah, I mean, I tried to focus on those things.
Right.
I got a house. I still had to pay a little bit for the house, but it was like chump change, man. Like kind of crazy considering when you look at how much rent is in cities in Europe and stuff like this. So, I mean, there was things like that were great, but I was also taking ice baths in garbage cans and buckets and things like this. And, these are just things that you had to deal with because, again, we come from a standard where a lot of things are handed to us in college and U.S. college. And, a lot of guys who come from Germany and go to college in the U.S. say the same thing. It's like, holy shit, like you're playing at a professional club there with the things around it, from the facilities to the physios and things like this. So it's one thing that guys have to get out of their head is that, we're starting again. Like we're trying to get back to that level of what college provided us. And then the play is it's really the playing style is better. Like,
Right.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of some other things. I mean, I know the ice baths was hilarious.
You mentioned visas. Visas is always a very tricky, can be stressful situation. Mongolia,
people think clubs take care of that for you too.
Yeah, Mongolia, even there, it was kind of a nightmare. We had to make a border run twice to Russia. And that's basically a 24-hour day trip.
Did you know
in the
that
back
beforehand?
Of a Prius. No, it wasn't supposed to be like that.
I mean, imagine that was laid out to you. That's another thing too, is that like a lot of things are not talked about. So you have to kind of assume the position of, all right, it could be a little worse than this.
Right, exactly. Like, and you have to be very open and flexible, because like at that point there wasn't another option,
of course,
other than leaving. So
of course, yeah,
you could have stayed there for 3 months on the tourist visa, and then I would have to leave. But
scary though. I mean, that would never go in the contract. Like on when was the break? Like,
it was month? Like, let's just say it was like, on July 20th, we're going to take a 23-hour trip, and you're going to sit in the back of a Prius squish back there. And when we get to the border, you're going to hop in a van with 10 other random Mongolians you don't know. And then we're going to wait for like 3 or 4 hours to actually cross the border and go back while they, check your passport and all that stuff. And then we're going to make
like the premise to a really bad movie. And I kind of want to get together with my brother and let's make like a thriller out of this. Like where it all goes wrong.
I mean, I documented as much as I can because it was too funny. Like we picked up some random dude, no joke, some random dude, and brought him back to the city, the capital. And like this,
we're out here helping people too.
Exactly,
dude.
And he got shotgun. I had to sit in the back with Nigel, and it was I
really want to make this. I really want to make this movie. Like, kid tries to, venture out and pursue his dream of professional soccer. Little does he know he's gonna have to make a border trip. All seems well until.
Hey, I got those 2 Russian 1-month visas in my passport to prove it.
Do you?
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm sure Putin loved that.
Oh, he loved it. He was there actually. He welcomed us in.
I'm sure there's a ton though with Mongolia where it was just like,
there's a ton.
You had to swallow. It's like swallowing your pride a little bit. It's like it brings you back down to earth, but then
this is what it is. You're owed nothing. That's kind of the general premise. Also, like what we want to talk about today is you literally aren't anyone. Now you have worth. That doesn't mean you should, just let people take advantage of you. But there's a balance of understanding like you're nobody and you need to prove yourself all over again. And even, we played in the Oberliga here, the 5th tier. You got to prove yourself there. You get to the next level. You still got to prove yourself at this level. And, maybe you're not happy with the contract, or, players that are making very bad money at the same level we're playing at now. And then you find out that, oh, wait, in the 3rd Bundesliga, there's players getting 200 a month, 200 euros a month.
Yeah.
We're playing in the 3rd league, playing. Yeah. They're not on the bench. They're not a young player. They're an experienced player getting this money because club they say they don't have money. They're probably dishing a lot of money to a few players and everyone else.
Yeah, I would say that those players are few and far between, but there are those stories because it's mostly youth players. And you'd probably still see a lot of youth players, 19, 20 young players, maybe not getting so much action, but they're in the 3rd Bundesliga making 200 and 250 euros a month.
Right.
And I'm sure, we know of some guys too that are making this money. So it's like they're in FIFA. FIFA, which is like one of my goals. It's like secretly one of my goals. I'll profess it.
You got to get on FIFA.
Like, I would just love to play with myself as a 35 rating.
Yeah.
Like shooting
is
at a
16.
Yeah, shooting is at a 4. It just went up to a 5 after my goal on the weekend, so we're looking strong. But these guys are in FIFA and they're making 200 euros a month, 250 euros a month. I mean, still, even if you're in the Bundesliga, you're making 750 euros a month. That's kind of crazy to be at that level, because the level of the third Bundesliga, I mean, you could get into debates about playing style, and sometimes they say it's a bit direct and you know, kind of not hectic but just very physical,
very
and strong.
fast-paced. Yeah,
fast paced. But still, these third Bundesliga teams would, I mean, I don't know the ratings. I would love to see like ratings of where the Bundesliga and like the USL is, or where the the third Bundesliga and like the second or the third tier of England and things like this. I would love to see a map like that. But I'm just saying, the third Bundesliga, if you have that on your resume, like we said before, you can get to a lot of places. You have a lot of pull, and you can get into a lot of first tiers in some of the lower countries in Europe. It's good to have on your CV.
Right. And as much as I don't know if we spoke about this last episode about the kid that's on Werder Bremen shortlist. Did we?
No, we haven't. No,
but I think this is an important point. There's a kid in our league, in our region. So in the 11 teams in our little section of the league, this player played for the second team. So in the Oberliga for multiple seasons, never had a sniff at the first, scored some goals and assists every season. New coach comes in to the first team, finds himself onto the first team. Now he's got 8 or 9 goals in the Regionalliga, and he's on the short list for Werder Bremen. So like as tough some situations are, it also can turn really, really quickly. He's only played 9 games. So basically 9 games of 90 minutes. I think he's played every minute. And now he's on the short list for a huge, they're in the second league at the moment, but a huge team.
This is the thing about Europe, though.
And he's 29. He's not young.
This is one of some of the reasons why I say, if you don't really have a name, I think trying in Europe gives you the biggest chance of having the highest ceiling. Like, of course, we've heard the Jamie Vardy story, but that's still a little bit unbelievable because like he's in the Premier League.
Right.
But like someone who is literally in our league killing it is on the short list. How old is he again? What did you say?
29.
Exactly. 29. Like he's older. Yeah. And that shelf life kind of goes.
And they're still interested. And that also means that Werder Bremen is at every single game videoing it.
Great for all of us.
Which means he's there. He could see us as well. He's not there for us, but he's recording the game.
Not never,
particularly for that player, but I mean it's there, and it can happen so quickly.
Yeah, the jump is much quicker.
So and you scored against Viking. That's his team. So I mean that's how quickly these things, as tough and difficult some of them can be, it can also change so quickly, one direction or the other. Yeah, you could also be in the second league and you fall out of favor in the team, and then you can't get a contract next year. You can't get a contract in the second or the third. That can also happen. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these are points that I think it's important for people to hear and understand going into this. That sometimes it can be tough, but sometimes it could be amazing.
In the US, say a similar thing happens where a guy was playing NPSL or something, USL, and then he makes the jump into, let's say, Nisa or USL League, or was it USL? It's USL Championship, then USL League One, right? I think USL League One is, they're technically Nisa and USL League One are on the same tier, but I think USL League One is more professional and a better standard. So even let's say he goes to USL League One, let's say he bags those goals, or let's say Nisa, because it's a little different in the US. He bags those goals in Nisa. Is he getting looked at by a USL team? Is he getting looked at by, an MLS team? No,
not sure.
I mean, Werder Bremen is not Bundesliga 1 anymore, but they still have the capacity as a team to get back to the Bundesliga. I mean, they were in the Bundesliga for 30 years, something like this. They've been an historic club. So This is one of the reasons, again, I say, if you don't have a name and I don't know, you're open to the experience and you can stomach something like this, get out to Europe. I truly believe that,
100%.
And
100%.
if you like it there, do your thing. But this is
Yeah.
for people like Sean and I, this is what's worked. And we still have these opportunities to climb even higher if we produce. So yeah, we've started out in the Oberliga, and Sean, if you want to talk about at all, I don't know.
Yeah, so one of the clubs we were on, yeah, I mean it's pretty well known at this point.
Maybe go back and bleep out the name.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a very big cup game that we were playing in, and things were just not going great at the club. Players weren't getting paid. Yeah, there was just a lot of things going wrong, and players were very, very unhappy with the way things were being run and with the president. And before a huge cup game, as a team, we decided to basically give an ultimatum to the president. Before the cup game, we're supposed to be at this point, when we're supposed to go out and warm up, we brought him into the locker room. We as a team, we brought him into the locker room and shut the door and didn't go out to warm up. And basically the players listed out all the things that need to be fixed, or else that we're not playing this game. Now, mind you, it's a pretty big game, so there's a decent amount of fans. So
yeah, you're playing against a team higher in leagues or whatever. So
right. So if we don't go out to this game, there's going to be a lot of questions. Of course, there's journalists there and all that.
Oh, that's bad for us. That's bad for us.
Yeah. Anyway, we wind up sorting it out, and we go out and warm up and so on and so forth. But either way, this is happening before a huge cup game. Now, everyone in their perfect world wants to be ready, trying to get focused, visualizing whatever you do before a game. And here we are pinning a president in the locker room, giving him an ultimatum. And yeah, this is happening in the 5th league in Germany, and this is not uncommon. Maybe not this specific situation, but there's many worse stories I've heard in situations like this going on at even a higher level.
I played at a club too. I wouldn't say, it was a nice club, and I would say it's just the realities of the league that we were in. It's just we'd go change in one place, and that's where our home field was, and it was a grass field, which I never got to play on actually. And then the turf field that we would train on, which is one of these classic Hamburg. I don't know how it is in the rest of Germany because I haven't been around, or haven't played around, but it's like this field hockey type turf, that just kills your knees and your ankles and your back. And I hate wearing turf shoes, but you have to wear turf shoes on there because otherwise your Achilles and your calves the next days are just terrible. So anyway, though, we'd have to change in one room and then literally run a mile to the training field. And everyone would play it, they played it off as this was a warm up. But no, it was just because the field is that far away from the changing rooms, and it's February in Hamburg. So it's super freaking cold and it's raining, and then you get to it and, you're playing on this field. And these are just the realities that people have to do because, I never got to play the position that I thought I could play at. So there was that struggle of it, and I'd have to play out on the wing, which, I played in college, but I played differently. It was more like, I'm not going to compare myself to Coutinho, but it was more like if Coutinho was playing out on the wing. Right. He's coming in to kind of be a third or fourth midfielder and create that, and you get the wing backs getting the width, because that's more of my game. And I think in college they did that to give me a little bit more space or something like that, So that was just one reality of it, is that I'm playing out of position, trying to win favor of a coach. And, I didn't start every game, and, sometimes I'm coming off the bench and having to prove myself. But this was, what I had to do. There was nothing else at the time. I could go back and play in the US but didn't have a name there yet either. So it was the realities of it. It was like, okay, this is my situation. You know, the first team, I'm barely getting anything. I'm getting pizza money and shit like this. Second time, everything's a little bit better, but the professional scenario around it is just not what I think I, can play at. So the mental strain of that can be a little bit wearing, but this is what I had to do because I need to build myself up, get better as a player in Germany, and then continue on. And even at the second team, I was playing as a winger too. I played as a right wing back in one of the games because we literally had an injury the day before. And I mean, I guess I could take it as a compliment too. It was just some things that I've learned over the years was just, a little bit utility, how to play in positions. I mean,
and understanding.
To talk about, I asked you in Mongolia, and to just kind of ask myself in Australia, the main thing that I got better at was being a box-to-box midfielder. So that kind of set the stage of like creating the position that is best for me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to kind of be more of like a 6 and an 8 and a 10 in Australia to just literally run myself and be everywhere to get better defensively. So yeah, there was things in Australia that were super unprofessional, and it's not what I expected when I posted that thing of me signing a contract or, telling everyone that I made it, because this was just the hype of it. It sounded cool coming out of college, but these things helped me. I got video, I got goals, I got better as a midfielder. I went to Sweden and was playing winger a bit in the first half of the season, but just got goals, got good footage of goals showing that I can finish. And regardless of the level it was, maybe it looked a little slower, but I was getting this footage, and I was getting better in 1v1 situations and getting my shot up. And then the next year I was playing as a 10. And so I was kind of getting better again at finding space in between the lines and pressing. That was one of the times where my pressing got better, and I just learned a little bit more each time. And that's just one of the things that people have to deal with. We've gotten hit up about, the Oberliga and the Oberliga in Hamburg, and we have to be straight up with guys like, you're not going to get housing here because you live in a city. No one's going to provide that. The clubs just don't provide that here. If you live out somewhere outside of the city, yeah, then there's those opportunities. But this is the one thing that you have to get straight is like, I'm going to have to find all this shit on my own. I'm going to have to take care of this visa on my own. I mean, you can ask guys like us, anyone who's going to Germany ever, reach out to us, and hopefully we can help you guys, just point you in the right direction at the very least. But there are certain things everyone has to understand when you're going up the pyramid. And some of it's dirty, some of it's very funny to laugh about years later, and some of it actually doesn't look like a blessing, but it's a blessing in disguise and can truly help you form as a player. And then even more importantly, the mental side of it, just knowing that I came and did this. Some things still come up in these leagues, and I'm sure like guys getting 250 in the Bundesliga. Sean and I, if you told us we get a Bundesliga 3 contract tomorrow and we get paid 250, we'd sign on the dot, because that's just the ambition of it. It's like, we've played for nothing. So our ambition isn't the money. We
and it never
want
was
it because you need it to survive and do things and travel and all this and set up for the future. Yeah. But the goal is still to play at the highest level. So if we're getting that contract, I go through it again. I'd be humbled again. This is what it is. It's a series of getting humbled, getting a shot. Okay, this is even cooler. Getting humbled again. You know what it is? And you just got to ride the waves out. And I think that's what Sean and I are doing. And I encourage everyone to try and approach it in a similar way.
Yeah. Wow, Dill, brilliant monologue there. That was absolute mic drop.
Sometimes it just comes. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know how long I was going there, but sometimes
it's about this time in the pod where, the espresso hits hard.
30 minutes after.
But yeah, exactly. And just coming back to your point, like you said, you learned how to be a box-to-box midfielder in Australia, but then you kind of didn't play that position for a while.
Yeah, for like 2 years.
And then you wind up on the team you're at now, where that's what you're playing. but you're a much better version of yourself now than you were back then. And you're ready for the opportunity when it came at the highest level you've played at. And you're, performing probably the best you've ever played. So like you said, sometimes you don't see it at first, at, the fifth league, you weren't always playing in the position, or you weren't even playing, you were on the bench. It seems like, how is this possible? And then here you are on a good team at a good level, playing really well in your best position, and you're ready for it. So it's just kind of taking everything with a grain of salt and knowing that sometime in the future it's going to pay off.
Yeah. And again, we say like it's a game of opinions, and it truly is that, because, if you ask those coaches that we've had in the past if we'd be at this level, performing, playing,
say no.
I mean, they'd some people would laugh. And so, when Sean first got here, he wasn't playing much. When I first got here, I was playing out of position and then was benched. And these are the things you have to ride out, because you can't let them affect you as a player and think, oh, I'm not playing at this level, I'll never play at that level. Because it just doesn't work like that. Like, a guy's playing in the 6th league, goes and plays in the 4th league, and is getting scouted in the 2nd league. Like, this is the realities of it. At least I know more about it here in Germany and in Europe. This is the realities of it. Is you're as good as your last performance, and the next one, you never know who's going to be watching. So you have to think of those things. And when you get your chance, you just have to prove it, and just truly take each opportunity as an opportunity to get better, get film, meet people, make connections, and we're not saying like go in and sell yourself short. Like, obviously, like Sean said, you got to know your worth. Don't let people just kick you around, but you have to look at it as like you're betting on yourself for the future, for it to pay off later. So you have to take a contract that's a little lower at first, so be it. Find other ways to make money like we did. Find other ways to stick it out until you reach levels that you truly think you belong at. And then at that point, set yourself, your sights again on something higher, because it'll just help you to push to be a better person. This is kind of what Sean and I are doing in a nutshell, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't even believe we didn't speak about this. I totally forgot about it. But like, when I first made the jump to the Regionalliga, I was taking a train 2.5 hours one direction, because I knew that it was going to be an investment to set me up better for the seasons to come. But at least I would just get into the league. And there's some other things that I'm not going to mention, but either way, it was an investment in myself, and that's how I saw it.
It always is.
It wasn't glorious, and if I told anyone back in the US, they'd think I'm crazy for doing that. But yeah, I felt it was the right move, and to this day, it seems like it was the right move. So yeah,
and it's
a constant.
And it's okay to be honest with people about, like, I know we live in that era where we really only see the highs, and we see people bragging, and we see Dylan with his signed contract at the dining room table. That's like, it's too extra. It's kind of cringe when I think about it, but also I laugh about it because
and the same thing with Mongolia.
This is the realities of it. And if you do that, I'm not hating on you at all. I did the same things, but I think it's important to kind of be honest with yourself. And then if you don't want to be honest with the whole world and on social media, that's totally fine too. Honest with the people around you, or the people that you're like, the people that we're giving advice to, that's why we don't want you guys to just think like, there's just this straight path, and if you follow us and listen to our podcasts, you're going to make it. It's just like the realities of this is what comes with it. So it's not so glorious. And I kind of,
in our eyes, it's totally worth it.
Oh, totally worth it. Because of the things that we've learned. And we talk about this, and I don't mean to, beat it down too much, but it was nice to have an honest ass episode. And I think that should take over the title as Not So Glorious.
I think so. And I like it.
Honest ass episode. Do you think that's going to get shut down?
No, it's Footwork. We make our own path.
Thanks.
It's just a funny thought in my head. The picture, because I took the same dining room table on my Mongolia contract. I don't know
I've
if
seen
I
a lot of
posted it,
people
but I have
take
a
these
picture.
pictures.
But just imagine like just an exercise of like replace that paper and you write down all the shit you had to deal with. Only put that on the paper and then change it with you smiling like I'm gonna deal with cold water. I want to deal with this. I want to deal with bricks. And you're sitting there smiling. Like understand everything you see on social media and what people post is not always as glorious as it is. And if you just think of it as a funny way, I think that is hilarious. And I think this might be an exercise.
Sean, I think this is one of the best ideas you've had in a long time. And I think we should do this. And after we let this episode sit for a few days, let's put 2 pictures out, just writing down some things, general things. We won't mention teams or where it was, but just some general things. And we'll make fun of ourselves and we'll just post the realities of it because
I agree.
You know, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. And this is an honest ass episode. And we're going to give an honest ass social media post on Footwork this week.
I haven't exactly. I'm not going to say it, but yeah, we're going to put it out this week.
That's funny.
So
I like that.
Stay tuned.
I really like that.
It's going to be a funny post. I think it's just goes with the episode. Yeah,
I like that a lot. Actually, that's fun.
Let's end it there.
Let's end
it there. All right, man. So then, until next time. Oh wait, no. Before we do that, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. We mentioned in the beginning of the episode, but keep plugging the pod. There are big things coming soon.
Yeah,
they really are coming soon. It's not just an idea anymore. They've been put into action.
Yep.
And keep on plugging and passing.
Yeah, please.
As always.
Everywhere. Please like, subscribe, YouTube, all that stuff helps us. Leave a review. Just keep on plugging, keep on passing. And, we're growing every day and it's nice. Yeah. And we're reaching new audiences and new countries. And, we're trying to come up with new things, new guests. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. So until next time,
keep moving forward.
Keep learning.
And make your own path.
Footwork is sponsored by ourselves, but also Kong Fitness and Merchant Designs, baby. Follow us on Instagram at Footwork_podcast. Twitter is at Footwork Podcast. YouTube and Facebook, just check out Footwork Podcast, search it. Email us if you need anything, any questions at footworkpodcast@gmail.com. And remember, plug, pass. Tell your parents, Amazon delivery guy, mailman, I don't know who, just tell them. Like, subscribe, review, all of it helps. Danke.